Welcome everyone to this new episode of Cold Email Teardowns, where we tear down your cold emails to help your business grow. The concept is simple. You send us your cold email and we invite a cold email expert to tear it down and rewrite it again. Today, I'm happy to welcome Matej, CEO of the Marketing Family. Matej, can you tell us a bit more about yourself? What do you do with the Marketing Family?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I'm running point at TMF together with my team, Boyan and Nina. We help small and medium-sized businesses to optimize their outbound efforts. Somehow, throughout the years, I've noticed that there's always some room for improvement that can bring up in the next big deal. So it's amazing how a properly structured outbound system can actually affect the business pipeline velocity. For example, it's really bonkers. So it's this kind of stuff that intrigues us and pushes us forward.
Sounds great. Happy to have you here. On today's episode, we're going to break down a cold email sent by a company that offers web development services and an SEO growth plan. Let's check it out together. So the goals of today's email was to get replies of marketing managers. Let's break it down to see what works and what does not. The first thing to notice about this email is that we do not have a subject line, but the content goes like this. Hi, name. While browsing your website for purely personal reasons, I noticed that it could benefit from a redesign to keep up with the current trends. We've helped competitor A and competitor B on this while also improving their SEO by X%. Keen on replicating this with company X? Thanks. Name. Let's analyze this cold email. What are your first thoughts, Matej? What do you think about it?
Okay, so immediately I also noticed that the subject line is not there, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I'll focus mainly on the body of the text. First thing I can see immediately is the reason for contacting that person. I noticed you need my service while I was casually snooping around your services. That's something few people fall for these days. If they do fall for it, not sure if you'd want to work with them. Let's be honest. So I probably replace that and use some irony to try to get them out and make them smile a little bit to break the ice, so to speak. I'll share an idea in a bit, but that's the first thing that immediately pops into my head when I read it. The next thing is the overall approach. The message is basically saying your website isn't good enough, which some people could take offense in it, especially if you're talking to the person who was in charge of building this in the first place. So I would use a more subtle approach. Go in smoothly. Like, for example, have you considered a redesign to solve this, and that, right? Major problem that redesigning might solve. So that's the second thing. Third thing that I notice is the reason to buy is a bit unconvincing. So to have someone consider a redesign of a website, which is, by the way, not a small or a cheap service, just to keep up with the current trends, that I'd suggest something more specific and realistic on why this would benefit them. Because the more specific you are, the more convincing you are. It's rule of thumb for sales, right? So just like you were specific in the following, we did XYZ for companies A and B, right? It's at the bottom of the message. Then that's how specific you should be when listing why this would benefit them. So that's the third thing. The last thing that I can say is also, I would assume that the marketing managers are not decision makers in the buying committee of this sort of companies, right? Rather, they'd be in charge of creating results out of the website, and the best they might do is to go to the decision makers and suggest a redesign as a solution to achieve X, Y, and Z. So from that point of view, if you take that into consideration, your job would be to enable them to convince the real decision maker to take action. So I would focus my message a little bit on how would that person benefit if company X approves a redesign, and how much this would benefit the company. Paint a picture in their mind, hinting that not only can you solve their problems, but you can make them look really good in front of their boss. And when you take these things and fix them, it might just work.
Amazing insights, Matej. I do agree there's a lot of things that we can rework in this email. So I'm very curious, how would you rewrite this email?
Well, here's the version that I would go with without having any additional context into the ICP of the company, right? I would go like this. Hi, first name. I was casually browsing through your website for personal reasons and okay, not true. I saw company X closed round B funding, so that brought me to your website. So I hope me being honest doesn't offend you, developer to marketer, right? So immediately I would go with the, okay, I'm not gonna go with this snazzy stuff. So this is how I would start. Then I would insert some kind of a funny GIF, let's say a GIF image, like for example, Mr. Bean going like this. Yeah, you can never go wrong with Mr. Bean, like never, ever, ever. If someone dislikes Mr. Bean, you don't want them as a client, full stop. And then I would continue. So the image creates this break And then I would continue like this. I noticed that your website doesn't have this, and that, indicating to me that you, being the marketing manager, are probably getting a lot of heat about, and then I would say a common business trigger that these guys run into, whatever that is. And then I would continue. Have you considered the redesign? It will improve X and Y on the website metrics, plus improve your SEO performance by at least 10%, or at least that's how it went down with company A and B when we redid their websites. Check them out. And if I tickled your interest, let me know. And then I would continue. If talking to, and then I would say my title and area of expertise, let's say SEO developer, is in your particular brand of vodka, give me some hate. I can take it. Otherwise, let me know if you're open to discuss how we can make company X owner name. So I would put the owner of the company's name there. Proud of his website's performance. Cheers.
Okay, this is great. I love how you used the first email and you actually used kind of like the same intro, but you gave it a twist. So tell us a bit more about it. Why do you think this version works better than the initial version?
Right. So the icebreaker is an example of the good old do your research before doing outreach mantra, right? Personally, I would never consider sending that message without first doing my research into the ICP. So I invented this story, this fact about the company so that I can create the icebreaker. In this case, mentioning an actual company event to show that you're not playing this pray and pray game and you're being honest, and being honest is appreciated, especially when you point it out yourself. Right. Now,
Yep.
Second of all, I think that the light humor, nothing too intrusive, definitely not grabbing the main spotlight of the message. You're not doing stand-up comedy here. It needs to be in the background, but make them smile, then move on. And it also shows that you're clever and well-spoken, which is always a bonus. And now this message is longer than the original, but the image that I suggested right after the icebreaker creates a nice little break between the intro part and the action part of the message, about the actual part where you say, okay, I'm this guy, I can offer you this is how you'll benefit. So I think that the message being longer is tackled by the image itself. And I also think that the details I would add in brackets are more elaborate and will require some more research into the company before sending this message. But like I said, no effective outreach works without doing that upfront. Also, I touched on the owner and marketing manager relationship. So this decision maker and champion relationship within their team, acknowledging that I know how this works and that I don't expect that marketing manager to make the decision, but rather I would much more prefer to open up and share some info, which we can both use to our advantage.
Amazing advice, Matej. Thank you so much for coming in today. If anybody else out there wants their cold emails to be analyzed by your team of experts, just fill the form below. And of course, if you want to meet Matej and get him to help you with your strategies, also you can look at his information right down in the description. Until next time, Matej, thank you so much.